Hi, my name is Allie. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are filming the first week of the pantry challenge, which I'm super excited to film. I just got back from helping my dad in his garage, so I definitely need a shower like as soon as possible, but I need to get this soup on the stove cooking so that it can completely cool by the time I need to go to bed. So let's start right on the soup. Jumping right into cooking the soup, I took out 2 tablespoons of butter. I thought I took out my herb butter, but apparently I did not. And then I almost burnt it while I was browning it. So that was definitely very fun. I had my heat on a little too high. I then chopped up an onion and put that in there. And that's all of the labor that really went into the soup at this point. I had a lot of prepped vegetables. So what you saw me add in there was some carrots and celery that I had already pre-chopped in a different video. Then I'm adding in 2 jars of canned turkey broth, as well as a jar of canned chicken. I canned this last spring, I think. So we're just starting to get to use that now. And then I think I add some frozen chicken that I also had in the freezer just to get that used up. And then the last thing I add to the soup at this point is some frozen broccoli. So now that we have everything added to the soup, I'm just going to turn it on to medium. I'm gonna hop in the shower, just let it simmer away. Everything is already soft and cooked, so essentially I'm just reheating everything to combine it all together. Then I'm going to taste it and see what kind of seasonings it needs. The turkey broth was well flavored when I put it in there, but I know it's going to need more of something. I just don't know what, and I don't want to add anything to it until I can actually taste test kind of what the whole soup will taste like together. And something really nice about this meal that I just made for the soup is I was able to empty 3 jars from my pantry, and once I empty them, I get to refill them. So that is something super exciting that I'm hoping to accomplish with this pantry challenge. Once I got back out of the shower, I just went and mixed up the soup. It was still kind of frozen, so I'm just trying to break up the vegetables a little bit, but I'm gonna let them keep simmering away. And while I was in the shower, I actually decided that I want to give a gift to my future self by chopping up onions, which is probably by far my least favorite kitchen task possible. I don't think I could name something more undesirable for me to do than chop onions. And I know that sounds dramatic, and it kind of is, but it's kind of not either. Like, I will literally avoid adding onions to something if it calls for it, simply because I do not want to chop them. My biggest pet peeve with it is that it makes my cutting board smell like onions. And then I just had a terrible experience once where I chopped onions, and then a few days later I cut watermelon on the same cutting board, and it ruined my entire watermelon. So after that memory, I just stopped wanting to chop onions. So I'm chopping them all now. I'm gonna put baking soda or something on this cutting board to make it so that I don't taste onion on everything else that I'm cutting. Or maybe I'll just flip the cutting board, and one side will be for fruit and then the other side will be for like savory things. I don't know. I only have one cutting board. I know I should probably have more than one cutting board, but this is what we're working with. So I'm chopping up the onions now because I know I want to go through them during the pantry challenge, but I simply will not if I have to chop one every single time I want to use it. So I'm just going to put them in a double-lined Ziploc bag and throw them in the freezer. At this point, my soup is rapidly boiling, so I go to stir it and take it off the heat. And then something that I like to do is make broth with my food scraps, as well as leftover chicken bones and things like that. So I just take out the bigger end pieces of the onion and put them in the freezer. After putting the onions away, I was able to taste test the soup, and I thought it needed just a few more things. So I think all I actually added was pepper and garlic seasoning because I hadn't had any garlic in it previously. I give it another taste. It is fantastic. I think this is a great soup. I am topping it with marble cheese, I think, like shredded cheese. So it almost turns into like a broccoli cheddar soup, but definitely more brothy. It's not like as thick as a cheesy soup would be, but I don't know. I like it, and this is the way that I'm trying to incorporate more broths throughout the day because I'm not a person who wants to drink bone broth, but I do want to consume a lot of bone broth right now. Once I was done eating the soup, I came back and started prepping my other meal for the week, which is going to be pulled pork with a protein coleslaw is what I'm calling it. And then again, I like to put my scraps in the freezer for making broth. So I just chopped up a cabbage and started shredding a carrot, and that's just going to be the base of my very simple coleslaw. And then I add a little bit of yogurt. I just use a really good high quality probiotic yogurt that I simply cannot seem to get the camera to focus on apparently. So I just add, I think 6 ounces of that. I don't know. I have it on a scale so then I didn't have to use any measuring cups because less dishes at this point is better. And then I add some balsamic vinegar. I don't really know how to work this camera apparently because it's very blurry, but it does eventually correct itself. But I'm just adding in 3 teaspoons of sugar, so 1 tablespoon. My tablespoon was dirty, so use the teaspoon. And then a very heavy amount of dill because I absolutely love dill. And then a splash of garlic powder, onion powder, and then I mix that up. Oh, just kidding. And I also add black pepper because why wouldn't I add black pepper? I didn't add salt because I didn't want it to draw out moisture. Okay, so I know it looks kind of dark, but that's because I used balsamic vinegar, and I just prefer the taste of balsamic vinegar. You can use white vinegar, red vinegar. Pickle juice honestly would work too, but I'm gonna taste it and I'm pretty sure it'll taste good. It's good. I don't think I'm gonna change anything right now. I'm not gonna be eating it until tomorrow's dinner, so that'll give it some more time to marinate. And then if I decide it needs anything at that point, I will let you know. So one of the realities of cooking from scratch is your kitchen quickly becomes a disaster. So I have a mountain of dishes behind me I need to do. My island is full of stuff, so I'm gonna go and clean that, and then I'm going to go take out the meat that I'm gonna be cooking tomorrow. I finished cleaning up the kitchen, which feels really good, and then I took out my porketta for tomorrow. A porketta is pretty much a pork shoulder that just has some unique seasonings. I don't really know what the seasoning blend is, and it doesn't say it on the ingredients label either. This is from my hometown back on the Iron Range, and it's one of my favorite foods. So I am super excited to make it. I'm probably going to make it all, but I'm going to refreeze half of it because it is a 4-pound roast and there's no way I'm going to eat that in a week. So I'm just gonna put it in some water, let it sit out overnight, and by the morning it should be completely thawed, and then I'll stick it in the fridge and pressure cook it when I get home tomorrow. I would stick it in a slow cooker if I had a slow cooker, but I don't, so it just makes more sense for me to use my pressure cooker as a pressure cooker. So I'm gonna go to bed and I will see you tomorrow. It is now Monday evening, the next day. I generally like to meal prep everything on Sunday, but it depends on how well I can plan my meal plan and whether or not I will get it all done on Sunday or not. So this is totally fine. I got most of it done on Sunday, and cooking the meat fresh does taste better anyways. So I was reading a bunch of things online for how long I should pressure cook this, and the most consensus I got was that I should cut it into chunks and then pressure cook it for 15 minutes, so an hour per pound. So I just took off the little wrapping, and I know some people will say that's how it's supposed to be cooked and that keeps the juices in it and everything, but it really did turn out fine. I've had this a bunch of times throughout my whole life, so it really did taste good. I just put it in for an hour. I let it natural release for 15 minutes, and then I pressure released it, so I just put a little towel over top, which is what you saw me do, and it's coming out fork tender, as you can see. So it turned out really good. I do think that it wasn't as flavorful as it could have been, but it's nothing that I did. It's just that the way I bought it, maybe it wasn't seasoned as heavy as it could have been. But I'm just now serving it with a side of the coleslaw. The coleslaw will be 4 servings total, and then I ate it with some pickled okra as well as some pepperoncinis. I have just finished the porchetta. I'm gonna serve it like that with the okra and the peppers just on the side, and it's just however many I feel like eating at that point, I guess. But yeah, I made the soup. I plan on supplementing that soup with some different soups that I have in the freezer, but that's what I plan on eating this week. So it's a lot of the same foods over and over again, but just kind of is what it is when you're cooking for one. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to see me cook for this pantry challenge, please consider subscribing, as I will be posting videos every single week about what I'll be eating during the pantry challenge, and definitely will get progressively harder. So if you want to join me on the challenge, I would love it. But I'm just gonna end today's video here, so I will talk to you later. Bye.